It's BV. It's BV. BV. It's BV.
Yeah.
It's BV. It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
It's BV and Jellified, Jimmy Beam and Bly, reaching highest where we reach, yo, it's highest to the stars. Beats in the villain Jeep, vibrating other cars. Whose world is this? Yo, we say the world is ours. So we grow beards, no fear, photos so clear. Take another shot, so to speak, yeah, more beer. BV worldwide, put a fist to the sky. Cheers, cheers, New Year's, dope rhyme, good vibes. My crew speaks power, Chi-Town bleeds power. Knowledge, wisdom, and truth in the final hour. Respect, loyalty, family, charity speaks power. Here the village brotherhood speaks honor. Forwards and onwards, stay villain to the end. I will never shave again because my beard is not a trend. I represent excellence, leadership, and never follow. I'm a BBC member, yo, lieutenant of Chicago.
One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay villain. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay villain. It's BV. It's BV. BV. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV. Yo, all I see.
Hello, all of you beautiful people out there in Facebook land. Just kidding. Hey, YouTube people, how you doing? I'm probably going to get cut off of the page because I said Facebook. But hello, everybody, and welcome to The Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the bearded villains worldwide brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Guys, tonight, episode 65, we're just going to chill tonight. We're going to talk. I'm waiting for people, if people want to call in. This is kind of a roll of the dice night tonight. This is going to be your night, and the whole purpose of tonight is just to let you guys call in, say hey, and find out what's on your mind. What's driving you crazy? What do you got to get off your chest? What do you need to rant about? Something like that. Everybody that's listening on a normal podcast platform later, you'll just have to pretend that you're here and gonna rant with us about some stuff. The whole purpose behind this rant idea is that we're gonna flush right into, and I say flush because we're gonna flush all that bad juju out. We're gonna flush out all of that bad stuff so we can push forward in a positive light, in a positive mindset going into this 2021 year. We're a week in, and boy, if we haven't been kicked in the balls already, right? I mean, you knew that this year was going to be not instantly better than last, but boy, if it doesn't feel like we've just this year's kind of started out with a big kick to the sack. Those of you women out there won't understand that, but maybe you could possibly figure that one out or understand the pain. I'm sure you could, but that's what it feels like right now. We're just kind of in this weird thing here in the States. Boy, have we had a week, huh? We have seen some things that I didn't think I would ever see here in the old U.S. of A. Some things that just crazy stuff. We'll get into that here in a few minutes, but it's a weird time for us all over. And the reason I wanted to do this tonight, every once in a while, as you know, those of you who have been longtime listeners of the podcast, occasionally I will do a call-in type show where people can call in. We're in this COVID pandemic thing, and it's a weird, to be honest, it's a weird situation for anybody that's doing a podcast like this. We're in a weird situation because about the time that we hit this pandemic was about the time that I decided to push this podcast into a live stream mode. They happened about the same time, around episode 25 here. So we were pushing just before the spring hit was when we were starting to get bombarded with all this talk of the pandemic. which poses an interesting question. Well, not an interesting question, it poses an interesting problem, because the format of this podcast, the design behind this podcast, was that I would be able to go around, include interviews, and occasionally do one-on-one interviews in person, that I'd be able to travel and do interviews with people, that people would be able to come here to Northern Indiana to the studio, and I would be able to sit down and do interviews with people. And it's such a crazy time that I haven't been able to do that. I haven't been able to bring people in to the podcast studio to do one-on-one interviews, person-to-person interviews like I would love to do. And I think that would do so much more for this live stream aspect of things. So
Unknown caller.
So unfortunately, I have been, that was a spam risk call that just came through. So unfortunately, I have been unable to really do exactly what I want to do with this podcast. So for the time being right now, what I'm stuck with is been doing all of these remote interviews, which has gone really well. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love this. There's no way that I would be able to travel all over the world and get the interviews that I have been able to get so far. But the goal of this podcast is that I can be able to continue with these interviews from people around the country, but also to be able to do one-on-one interviews where I can share a video like this in a live stream atmosphere, and there's two people in front of you, not just one. That it's not just one, there's a couple people. And I've been able to do that once or twice so far, depending upon the circumstances I've been in. But I want to do more of that. Now, because of COVID and everything else that we've got going on right now, I'm limited. This podcast is limited on how often I can get to these interviews, because it's very difficult to get people to want to come on to just talk for no reason at all. And one of the great things that we've been able to do over the last year with the podcast is, when I say we, I mean us, meaning me and all of you guys with your help. We've been able to bring in people whose chapters are doing something, or they themselves are doing something very cool. We're in an unfortunate time right now because of how the pandemic's hit us right now worldwide, and there's numbers growing, and we're back on an uptick right now. So there's a lot of people that aren't traveling. There's a lot of chapters that are hesitant to organize events. And even if there were events to be organized, there's a lot of people that are hesitant to attend these events. And so that's where we're stuck at right now. So I thought that this time period right now, this week, would be a perfect time to do this call-in type thing, where anybody who wants to call in, rant, talk about something else. Like I said, it's a bit of a risk because I don't know if I'm going to get people to call in or not. And that's fine if they don't. I can just ramble on for the duration of this podcast, but I know myself. I hear my own inner thoughts all the time. I don't need to audibly talk my thoughts out. And I'm not that interesting, to be honest, if I get down to it. So I want to hear from you guys. What's on your mind? What kind of mindset are you? What kind of a mind frame are you in? What's your mindset right now this time of year? We're a week in, and it's just crazy times. So you guys know my line ID. Most of you do. Feel free to jump on, do a line audio call. And if you do that, I can bring you in. No video. You don't have to worry about how you look or anything like that. This is just for the benefit of us to be able to do a call-in type show. So by all means, if you want to do that, please do. Now, I want to say hi to a few people. Of course, Wayne One Feather is here. Looks like he says, yeah, let's talk. So let's see if Wayne wants to call in here in a few minutes. Give me just a couple minutes, Wayne, if you're going to call in. Give me just a couple minutes for some housekeeping procedures. Gator is in the house. Gator is always a good talk. That dude is motivating as all get out. But what's funny is when you get him one-on-one, sometimes he just kind of gets down like this. And when he's one-on-one, he just kind of settles in, almost like a Matthew McConaughey kind of fella. And he just gives you, he'll just talk to you one-on-one in a very modified tone, just to kind of soothe things out. But then he gets to having some fun, and he gets that energy back in him, and we love him for it. So, Gator, feel free also to call in sometime if you want to. Rob's in the house. Derek's in the house. Outside the 86. How we doing tonight? Sharissa, good to see you here. I figured you would be here with your other half there, Jay, here in the house. Guys, this is so cool to be able to see you guys, see how things are going, how your week is going. Jay says he just doesn't have a rant in him tonight. I bet we can find one in you. I bet we could probably find one in you. All right, guys. Well, first things first, after I do a little bit of housekeeping there, I would absolutely be remiss if I did not talk for a second about a loss that loss of one of our brothers that came across the wire today. One of our chapters lost a brother, and I want to acknowledge that our brother Charles Gunslinger, passed away. And so our condolences are also obviously with he and his chapter brothers down south. Always a terrible time, always sad to lose a brother. So I know that his chapter's going through some times right now, some struggles. I know that his brothers, his family members are going through it. So please reach out to his chapter and let him know you're thinking of him. Keep his family, keep his brothers, keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And definitely need to send up a cold one, have a drink, have a toast, keep good thoughts, and say some prayers for Charles Gunslinger. Okay. I needed to make sure that I addressed that. That was pretty important. We need to do that every time. So guys, it's been a really, really, really crazy thing going on here in the States. And one thing I have to get off my I love social media for some things, and I hate social media for other things. Now, while I'm talking, this is just a ramble. So if you are waiting to call in, by all means, feel free to call in online right now, and we can do the chitty chat. But if you're interested in calling in and having a chat with us, we can do all that good stuff. So please do so. And while I wait for a call to come in, I'm gonna give you a little rant of my own. I love social media for some things, but I absolutely abhor how dependent people are to get news and factual information from everything that is the social media. Now, it becomes more difficult, obviously, as time goes on, because you don't know who to trust. You don't know which news sources are just feeding you stuff just to feed you stuff. And I assume it's that way here, not only here in the States, obviously that's what I'm ranting about, but I assume it's that way in other countries as well. But maybe not. Maybe other countries are a little bit more honed in on things and a little more advanced on that, and don't let that happen as often. But here, it's crazy stuff, and we are so dependent upon listening to and not researching. We see something on Facebook, and we immediately we immediately assume it's fact. We immediately assume it's news, and somebody had to have checked their facts for that. And what bothers me about that is that it causes a feeling of mistrust in so many different aspects. It causes a mistrust in the politicians. It causes a mistrust in the news cycle that reports on the politicians. It causes a mistrust in everything. And so I think the events here in the States of this past week, and I don't do politics here. I absolutely don't do politics in here for the very, very good reason that it's so divisive. But I think we could all agree, those of us here in the States, that we are embarrassed. If you're like me, you're completely embarrassed by what has happened in this past week with the country. And I don't know where to go with that. I have all sorts of crazy anger and confusion, but the problem is that some of what you might be confused or angry about, you don't know if it's factual or not. And that's where we are in the world right now. That's where we're at. So one man comes up with, one angle on things, and it doesn't have to be a major news story. It can be something extremely simple. It can be a tiny little morsel of something that somebody wants to skew. They give you a snippet of a conversation and you run with it because you're like, I heard this. Well, yeah, you did hear that, but you didn't hear the 5 minutes before that. You didn't hear the 5 minutes after that. And it's so frustrating. So, case in point. Now we're going to jump off of the politic part of it and get into the comic relief side of things. Many of you people may know the urban legend that is how the creator of the TV show The Simpsons is rumored to be a time traveler because he has predicted so many different things that have actually come through and happened in life. And it's funny because you look back and there have been actual videos done on all of the crazy things that have happened in history that the Simpsons TV show predicted in cartoon form years beforehand. And you can go online. I'm not going to share all of those with you. It's kind of crazy, but you can go online and see the videos about that kind of stuff. It's pretty crazy. But what's funny is that when we talk about this, my anger for not even trusting things anymore, it even goes to that now. It's even going to something as simple as that. And I know this is stupid, but that's part of the reason we're just ranting. This is just stuff that comes off the top of your head. These are things that you see, that you're just looking at things and going, that's just, for one reason or another, it bothers you. So what's funny is that now we've gotten to a point where somebody out there, and I only bring this up because I saw it on Facebook feeds from about 15 different people, and I saw it on Twitter, and it's kind of crazy. But now somebody has taken the news of the week here in the States, where all of these people came in and basically just bulldozed their way into the Capitol. And one of those standout individuals that has been seen all over the news was the gentleman in some sort of fur vest with the horns, if you'll recall. Well, somebody took to an image from The Simpsons, and at first glance, when you look at this, you're like, oh, they did it again. He predicted the future. So I brought this up. I wanted to show this picture to you guys just because I'm sure some of you may have actually seen this by now, but it bothered me because somebody's trying to pull the wool over our eyes again in something just this simple. So look at this thing. The Simpsons did it again. So here's this Yahoo in his feather topless outfit carrying the American flag and a bullhorn with his horns. now somebody put together, and it's obvious that they've done so. They put together, when you look at this image, somebody has photoshopped badly some of the imagery that now fits this guy here to make you think that, oh, this is once again something that The Simpsons created and they predicted. No, look at this image. It's obviously badly compromised. But this is one of these things that it was like, oh, this bothers me. And all of a sudden I saw this image and I was like, what are we doing? What are we trying to do here? So I don't know. Wayne is trying to call in, it looks like. So let's try this now.
Hello?
Is Wayne there?
This is him.
Wayne, you are live on the podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great, man. How you doing?
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Good to hear. Good to hear. What's on your mind tonight, man? What you got cooking?
I don't know. I just think that a lot of brothers and that just need to get back to the brotherhood and everything. Support everybody and be there for everybody's back instead of, like, how can I say it? Not just be one-on-one, be there for each brother that needs help and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. In what way are you seeing it not? I mean, obviously we don't want to, talk badly.
Oh, no.
But I mean,
I don't talk badly about anybody. I mean, I'm just saying that, I think as a group and everything, as a brotherhood and everything, I mean, we need to be there more for each other. For none of our brothers we're losing our brothers or anything like that. And if somebody's having a tough time and everything, we need to reach out there to those people and to be behind them and everything. And if somebody is not talking for a couple of days, we need to just to see how they are and touch base with them and everything.
Yeah, that's a huge issue. And it's difficult, I think, right now, especially because so many people are, I think, very, very focused on their own lives.
Oh, exactly. But it's just the stress and everything that everybody's having with all the COVID and everything.
Right.
I think that we need to more show that we are out there for each other and everything, and we have each other's back and everything. I mean, the people that I will just chat and talk with people that I haven't even talked to, and I'll just say, hey, how are you doing today? And, and they're like, well, thank you for, seeing how I'm doing, especially because I'm pretty big on Instagram, I'm on there all day long, every day.
Yeah, you are.
And
that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and I try to reach out to everybody. If I see somebody that's not on there and they're supposed to be on there, like I am, like a nut that I am, I will reach out and say, hey, how come you're not on here? What's going on?
Yeah.
Because the one that I reached out to just a couple of weeks ago was Hob from Denmark.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't on there for a couple of days and everything, and I was freaking out. I'm like, what the heck? He's out. Me and him are always like matching each other for pictures and everything.
Yeah.
And then he got back with me and said, well, I really appreciate it that you were concerned and everything. And I look out for people like that.
Oh, absolutely.
And everybody.
Yeah. It's, first of all, let me say, I totally agree with what you're talking about. I totally agree with that. But aside from that, let me just say, if you are not aware, especially now, this isn't so much for the people that are on the live stream with us right now, because most everybody here that's on the live stream, I know, knows you well.
Yeah.
But anybody that is listening to this on a regular podcast platform, You need to find Wayne. You need to find him. If you are not following him, One Feather. This dude is a master picture taker, and he is. It is awesome to see. He literally, like he said, he will flood the Instagram waves with photos.
I will.
And I look at, sometimes I scroll through, and so congratulations first of all to you for that, for the time and the effort that it takes to do that, because as you well know, a lot of people that have been in BV for more than like 6 or 8 months, they're done. They're done with the photos. They put in like they'll take like one photo, and I'm honestly, I'm just as much, to blame for that as well. I don't post pictures as often as I should, but
me and my wife, that's a road trip for us to go find find somewhere, something new, something different out there. I mean, it's a challenge for us, and we both love it. I mean, and she's always like, here's a good spot for you. And now I just got my headdress. I just finished that all up.
I did see that. Yeah. If you have not, anybody that's listening needs to go out and check out One Feather. He has obviously Indian descendancy in his blood, and he wears it very proudly. But the photos that he takes, man, are really, really cool. He finds some good landscape shots to take with himself in there, and he will make you feel completely unworthy for the amount of Instagram posts that you are making. Because now I say that because I'm like, well, I'm home all the time, and so I can only take so many photos of me standing around my house or my yard, because then it's going to go. I'm going to take.
Yeah, we go everywhere. We've been all through Michigan, and I mean, all the spots are totally different every week. Weekend we're going out there to find new spots and everything. Yeah. I mean, it's fun. I mean, something to do, traveling around, and and it's something that me and the wife enjoys doing. I mean, she's a queen, so she wants pictures of her around doing stuff and that. So we try to do that, and and I just, people love the pictures and everything.
Oh, they do.
And that's why I do it. I mean, I not really do it that much for me. A lot of people's like, man, I expect a good picture from you here and there. So, I do it, and people are like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Where'd you get that?
Yeah.
And if it brings somebody with a smile one time, then I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah. Well, it does. And I think probably more than it probably does a little bit of the old, makes people feel unworthy to the point where they need to get off their butt and take more pictures too. So it's inspirational in that regard too. So major kudos to you. But yeah, I will say this, and then I'll let you go so we can, if anybody else wants to also chime in. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Because I'll answer.
No. I just wanted, brothers to get out there and reach each other, more and more, to show the true love and everything. That's what we're here for each other.
Totally agree.
To show the love.
Yeah. If you have not heard from a specific brother that is out there and is frequently posting, look for changes in people's behaviors. That's one of the biggest keys.
That's what I do.
For people, is that if you see something out of sorts, and seeing something out of sorts doesn't necessarily mean actually seeing something. Somebody's lack of behavior can be an alarm. And so it's not always, that's not like them because they're doing something. Sometimes it's a lack of doing something that needs to be the trigger, that needs to be the alarm. So absolutely, I agree with you, buddy. So thanks so much, Wayne, for calling in.
No problem.
Don't be a stranger. And
I'm not.
I know you're not. I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right. Love you, man.
All right. You too, buddy.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. All right, man. That was Wayne. Very cool stuff. Thanks, Wayne, for calling in. Now, I will say this: anybody else wants to call in, you can call in. Find me online on the line chat. If you're not there, I have to accept you first if I'm not already currently friends with you. But I've been looking out for that to see if I can, if anybody else pops in. Now, let me say this to his point. One of the things that I have been trying to do for the last several weeks, well, actually, it goes down a lot later than that, last several months, really, is I want to bring on, and this is, I'll mention this now because I want to, I'm reaching out, I guess. This is me reaching out to some of you out there in the world, those that are lifelong listeners of the show here. If one of the things that I've been trying to do is find somebody that is a therapist, somebody that is some sort of a therapist that works in dealing with issues of depression, specific if you want to break it down to like male depression, but specifically depression. And one of the things that I've been trying to do is, I'm setting my phone here to a setting so that I can see when people try and reach me here. But one of the things that I want to try and do is bring in a therapist and do an actual interview one-on-one with a therapist, because I want to find out from a professional, what are some of the things that we can do as brothers within our brotherhood? What are some of the things that we can do for each other? Because as I said before, it doesn't feel like we're doing enough. It doesn't always feel like we're doing everything we can. And I want somebody to be able to answer those questions for us about what more can we do to help out our brothers. Because I know that there's things out there. There's things that we need to look for that we're not looking for. I know they're out there, but I don't know how to find them. I think is part of the issue right now. So I want to bring in a therapist as a guest on the show to talk to. And one of the issues, I could just go down the street and find one, but I want to find somebody that has some sort of a social media following if they can. I like the idea. There are therapists out there that have utilized social media in a very positive way. When I say social media, I mean, I'm talking in that regard, Twitter or Instagram or specifically YouTube. They've used them in a manner where they put out videos for advice. And there's a handful of them out there. I've tried to reach out to a few, and I've not gotten any responses back, which is unfortunate. It could be because their schedule's too busy. It could be because they don't want to do it. It could be because they just don't know who I am or what I'm about, even though I explain to them, I give them links. But that's one thing that I absolutely want to do. So, and I know that there's a lot of guys out there that would benefit from that. Absolutely. So, for sure. Yeah, Rob says, I work in mental health, and let me tell you, the biggest things you can do is be there. Be consistent in your approach, make the effort to be available, and do not judge. Totally agree with that. But it still feels like sometimes that may not be enough. Sometimes that may not be enough. But we need to do more. So to my response, Gator says that makes it hard because many are not allowed to do that on social media because their jobs will not allow it. That I understand. It would be my preference to find a therapist that does that. If it's not possible, then it's not possible. But the other reason that I like that idea is because, as you well know, from going down various YouTube rabbit holes, be it listening to music, funny videos, whatever it is, if you find one channel that you love, you'll subscribe to it. And if you do that, by the way, let me say, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, please do so. Sappy chance there for self-promotion for the podcast there. Sorry. But one of the things that I love about that aspect of it is that if I'm able to bring on a therapist to talk about this issue, and share that information, it could be somebody that the listeners of this show could then feel comfortable about reaching back out to their channel and finding other videos. Because one of the things that we've all learned, I think, in dealing with the struggle of mental health, some more than others, but one of the things that we learn from it is that people don't often want to reach out on their own because they're embarrassed, because they don't know how, because they're fearful, because of pride, because of a variety of topics. People oftentimes don't want to reach out. And if I'm able to find a therapist that already has an active channel that promotes videos giving self-help advice in a variety of areas of your life, I think that would really be beneficial to people, because then they would have that resource from somebody that they've already heard here on the podcast. So that's why I would like to be able to find somebody that can do that for us. But I realize that that may not be 100% possible. But we'll see. If you are not aware, this is BP from the Heart of a Villain. We are on episode 65 of the podcast and live stream. Tonight is a call-in night where we're just talking to anybody who wants to call in, get things off their chest so we can clear out the bad juju. And we don't need to disparage anybody, but we can get some things off our chest and feel better about things as time goes on, for sure. We were a week in and to this year, and we need to do everything we can to stay positive. Now, anybody that's watching on the live stream right now, if you have the Line app, this is my Line ID. It's right there on the screen. That's how you can find me. So if you want to call in, find me there. The name requires you to put in the little microphone on there. So it is the Bearded BP with a little microphone stand there, the microphone. And shoot me a message if we're not already friends, and then we'll set you up. You can call in, and we can talk. Now, I will say, Gator says, I don't have any rants to call in about. Gator, that's just because you're positive, man. It's because you're positive. You don't let the bad juju push you. You don't let it bother you. And I completely understand that. I get that. I'm all about that stuff. But that's not the way it is for everybody. Rob coming in with dropping some dimes on us again. So not a lot of people know he does suffer from mental health. Myself, medicated since I was 15 and have been to the edge and come back. I'm telling whoever does need to hear it, it does get better. Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the great things, and I gave him a hard time for it. I gave him a hard time for it last week when we did our one-word challenge. I gave a hard time to old J13 there for coming up with semicolon. But number one, it fits because technically it is one word, even though it's hyphenated. But very, very cool that he took the time and he jumped out on that branch to be able to say, hey, this is my word. This is my symbol for 2021. And so I was very proud of him for breaking out, jumping on that bandwagon and saying, this is my word, this is my symbol for 2021, the semicolon. And I hope that he can inspire other people. I hope that he can continue to inspire himself to keep that going. Absolutely, Jay. Hashtag start the awkward conversation. Very important. Very important. We've got to start it. The phone lines are open, guys. If you want to call in and say, hey, if you want to talk about anything that's on your mind, we will open up the phone lines for you guys to talk to you. It's just an audio call tonight. Does not have to be video, so it doesn't matter what you look like. You could call me in your underwear if you have to. But if you do, please don't have to tell me that you're doing so, because that's just a little bit creepy. And I don't need to know that. Those of you watching on the YouTube will notice I've changed my my hat for the night. Wanted to try something a little different. Going with the leather cap tonight. The leather hat. It's one of those fold-a-flat things that you can fold up and folds flat. And it's not really Australian, but it kind of looks that way. It's one of them things. I love it. It's fun. It's good. It's good. So, yeah, this is not going to be an earth-shattering podcast episode. We're about 30 minutes in here, guys. And I do appreciate you guys more than you know, those of you who are watching live. On a Friday night of all times, crazy stuff going on in the world. I know. We need to be there for each other. Absolutely. Jay says mental health hijacking the podcast tonight. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of seemed like that so far, but not intentionally. Absolutely not intentionally. But yeah, those of you who don't know, I don't know where I was going with that. You guys do that very often. Something tells me I'm going to lose some listeners this week. I'm probably going to lose some followers and listeners on this podcast or live stream this week because, wow, we're on the struggle bus today. It's a crazy, crazy time. And the more and more, I had to shut off Facebook earlier this week. I had to shut it off and not allow it. And I got really tired of watching the Facebook streams coming in. I think we have another guest calling in. He's saving our bacon again. It's Gator. Gator, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm great. I love it. He's talking to us in that soothing tone. I like it.
Here you go with that.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's great. We know. I figured, call me crazy, but I figured that you might be traveling this weekend. Are you out of work?
Yeah, I got to work. Things come up, and I just can't take off work right now. I wanted to be there more than probably a lot of people, but I just couldn't do it.
Well, I don't know that. You don't know if you wanted to be there more than I did. How do you know that? Hey, you're just assuming now. I don't know about that. You just assume that I didn't want to be there.
You're right.
You just assume that
I'm just. Hey.
I'll just give you a hard time. No, but it's rough, man. It's rough. I was planning up until about 2 weeks ago to go, and for me it wasn't it's gotten to a point now where I'm a little bit leery about large gatherings, and just because myself, I have even though I'm a big guy, I have a pretty rock solid kind of bionic immune system, but other family members that I'm around occasionally don't. And so that always does worry me a little bit. I safely navigated the Southern Indiana Battle of the Beards back last fall. Did that fine, but this one, with all the upticks and things, plus the fact that it was going to be a decent drive, to only not, on the off chance that maybe we get there and now there's some limitations now. I've heard that they've done a really good job of limiting the limitations. So,
so far from what I've heard.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see some photos and hopefully be able to talk to some of the guys that were in attendance this weekend for next week's podcast, hear how things went, what they're able to do with it. So that's the plan.
Yeah.
So what's on your mind, Gator?
Sure. Not much, man. I just wanted to call in, and I saw everybody chatting, talking about the mental health and this and that. I just wanted to say basically guys like Jay and Rob and those guys that put it out there that they're going through things and that they suffer from these issues, or to keep saying that and keep bringing it up and keep coming out and saying that they have these issues and they deal with these problems, and because it gives, I think it helps give others the courage to do the same that wouldn't normally speak on those matters, that are going through issues. So basically I just wanted to say for them guys to keep doing what they're doing, because it's, whether they see it or not, I feel it gives others courage to do the same who would not normally do the same thing.
That's couldn't be more true, man. I've said this too many times to count, that one of my greatest things that I have seen from this brotherhood is the number of people out there that are able to, by their actions alone, be inspirational at times when they don't even think what they're doing is inspirational.
Definitely.
And that's guys like Jay, that's guys like Rob, for talking about what they're doing and what's going on in their minds, what's going on in their heads. It's guys like you, Gator, and I've not been silent about my love for you, your journey, and your outspokenness either. You know, it's the brotherhood is absolutely amazing. That we're able to bring together so many different guys from so many different walks of life, and that guys can be inspirational about. You know, I look back and I listen to what Skip from down south, our resident actor, once said during the podcast interview I had with him, when he talked about that he always looks to be inspired by actions, not be inspired by people. And that has lived with me every day since. But it's these actions. It's the comments. It's the way people are unafraid to be themselves. And that's one of the greatest things about this brotherhood, I think, that we have, is that the whole design behind it basically says, we will not judge. It says we will not hold grudges. It says we will not hold anything over you for being who you are, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
And it allows people to do that. So I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely brought me out. I mean, I was ashamed of everything I'd done and been through in my history for a long, long time. And BV helped show me that, I don't want to say it was everything that showed me, but it was a good part of what showed me that I can express and tell people what I've been through and share the struggles and this and that. And that's okay. You know what I mean? And not be judged for it. And it's actually, what I want to say, it's more like people actually accept that more, knowing that you've been through things like that. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it really.
I know where you're going. Yeah, keep going. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, it's BB has been a big part of that, of helping me, and I'm sure others, come out of that shell that they're ashamed of, or that they're currently ashamed of, or, I mean, and it gives you the opportunity to share with people who aren't going to judge you. I mean, like, I have people outside of BV now that hear my story and are accepting of my story and actually look up to the fact of everything I've been through, and I'm still here. You know what I mean? So if it wasn't for BV, I wouldn't be to that point.
I'm so glad you are, man. I am. And I don't know if you can see the comments on the screen. Rob says, "Cheers, Gator. This brother ain't going to be shutting up anytime soon." But yeah, absolutely, man. I
encourage all that have been through anything or any struggle to never be ashamed to speak on it, and continue to speak on it, because it's going to give others the courage to speak on their issues and maybe save a life or two. You know what I mean? You never know.
Totally agree. Couldn't have said it better, buddy. Love it. I love that you call in when I need you, man. I love it. You never feel like you have anything worthy to say, but you always find a way, man. You always find a way.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate you. Hey, and also congratulations. I'm not finding my little sound effect with my applause in here right now, but I'd give you the big applause for your big announcement you recently shared on the pending nuptials.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Congratulations to him.
Yes, thank you.
Old Gator's
super excited.
officially off the market, even though I already thought he was. But
not on paper. I wasn't, but I always have been.
but you know what's funny is that's when you know the relationships are built to last, man. When everybody around you thinks that I could have sworn you were already married.
Yeah,
So-
everybody said that. Everybody said that. I'm like, no, not technically, no.
Not married yet, but hey,
No.
that's it's good. It's gonna last. That's awesome, man. So great,
Yes, sir.
great news. Can't wait to. Hopefully, you're gonna have a wedding that's gonna be attendable by people because.
Yeah, we're gonna try. Hopefully, we can get through this. Hopefully, this Rona will die down some, or at least
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I won't hold you accountable to a specific date at this time. I'm sure you guys are trying to look forward to stuff, but I won't hold you up to that. We'll talk another time about that. But I appreciate
Yes,
so
sir.
much calling in, man. That means a lot.
All right, brother. No problem.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Gator, for calling in, man. That dude, man, solid as they come. Solid as they come. We're talking about talking a little bit about the one-word challenge we mentioned last week. And I love that people are already, there's still so many of this is one of the reasons why, the little side nuggets, one of the reasons I love the one-word challenge idea is because too often we create these New Year's resolutions and we don't live up to them, even up to a week after, right? Even up to a week after. We're a week into the year, and I guarantee you people that created their own list of New Year's resolutions have already failed on them. They've already missed them. Maybe that's you. I don't know. But one of the great things I loved about the one-word challenge is the one-word challenge pushes you to live that word every day, every week, every month for the year, and sticks it in your head. And if you're doing it right, you're always thinking about it. And going back to that, I'll talk about that in just a minute with my word, move. But Sharissa Obvious says, you live that word. This is talking about Kelly here. You live your word of the year every day, Kelly. You are a warrior. Very cool to see. Absolutely. Absolutely. We all have our struggles. We all have our past. We all have health issues. We all have different things that we've got going on. So kudos to you, Kelly. Keep it up. Live that word. Live your warrior. Not just for today, not just for this month. Live for it for the year and long after. I hope that what we'll be able to do by making this an annual thing, we'll just create a vocabulary list. Next year, every one of us that took part in this, we're going to add another word to it. And then the year after, we're going to add another word. And you'll be able to know by your actions what your word was for each year. And hopefully you'll set a pattern for yourself. No more of these New Year's resolutions. So we're going to bring in another caller here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we might have Jay here on the line. Jay, are you there?
I think I am.
Jay is in the house. J13. Buddy. Mr. Semicolon for the word for the year. Always has some wise words, even though he doesn't think he does. Always a good conversation.
I figured that we completely hijacked your podcast and turned it into the mental health network.
But you know what?
I chime in.
That's fine. That's fine. It's obviously a topic of conversation that we need to address. It's one that needs to be on the forefront of our minds. So what's wrong with talking about it? As you say, start the awkward conversation.
Yeah, and for some of it's easy. For some of us, it is easy, and for some of us, it isn't. I got earphones in, man. This is hard to hear.
Well, you've got to turn the other side down so you can hear me. You can't be listening to yourself because I'm sure there's a delay.
Oh no, I'm good. I got earbuds, but I'm trying to let Shish still hear the TV. So
yeah, you'll probably have to go in the other room or some sort of nonsense.
Remember, it's all about her.
It's all about her. That's right. Rob says, oops, I forgot that one word challenge in time. Rob, you can still participate, buddy. Still participate. Get that one
You got
word
a year.
challenge. That's right.
The words for the entire year.
It's going to
You
last
still got
you a
11
year.
and a half months.
Well, we would prefer you to be able to come up with your one word here in the next week or two at the very latest. That way you can jump on it and live with it. Doesn't really do you much good to come up with your word for the year in December. That makes it a little more difficult.
But yeah, I just wanted to talk on, I guess, what Gator said, and what Rob's been saying in chat. For a lot of people, it's hard to talk about. I mean, for a lot of people who are suffering, it's hard to talk about, and for a lot of people who don't know what the suffering's about, it's hard to talk about. But it doesn't mean that it's not to be talked about, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing. It's there are people that I find this conversation a lot easier with than others, and there's some people that I can't have this conversation with because I don't know how to get into it with them or how to explain to them. Like, how do you explain feelings to somebody who doesn't have them?
Well, I think, and this is just me speaking, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but I think there are many of us, and maybe this is a problem that needs to be addressed as well. There are people who don't suffer from any form of depression at all, who feel for those who do, but because they're afraid themselves of maybe causing harm, they're afraid to do more than just, hey, how you doing? And then anything beyond that gives them kind of the heebie-jeebies. They're a little bit weirded out by that because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to speak to something. And I will say this, from my perspective, I think the most important thing, and I think Rob said it earlier, maybe it was you, but I know you've said it before in other forms as well. The most important thing, obviously, is to be there for somebody, but to be there for somebody means what? Well, to be there to listen. And it doesn't mean you have to give advice.
Actually, as one feather Wayne said, sometimes it's just a matter of like, hey man, how you doing?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a matter of just, you see somebody not talking one word answers. It's just a matter of going, like not engaging the conversation necessarily, but just kind of, hey, what's up? There's been, and I'm going to heap a whole lot of praise on both you and Gator. There are some times where I'm not good. And even though your positivity isn't enough to lift me, it's enough to know it's out there. When I see Gator's posts on Instagram and he's like, hey guys, it's like just that laugh to himself is enough to go, there's a place for me to go. There's a place for me to get to. Your positivity that you push out is a place to go. Now, I'm not going to lie. There's some days it's just more than I can take, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to catch that tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But knowing there's positivity out there is sometimes enough just to take the edge off the dark, off the black, that we can get through another day, another hour. Sorry, can you not hear me?
No, I can totally hear you.
Okay.
I totally hear you, buddy. I'm just taking it in.
But yeah, like I said, it's in the too much information file probably. Yesterday I crashed, and I crashed hard. I pretty much curled up into a ball in my bedroom and laid there for hours in the dark and the silence, just because I couldn't human. I couldn't reach out. I couldn't. Let's just sum it up to I couldn't. I have a wonderful wife who checked on me, would come in, rub my head. Is there anything I can do? And it was just a white knuckle ride that I guess I had to take. Now, today, I'm still not feeling great. But this conversation, this whole podcast episode kept going, hey, Jay, come here. Hey, Jay, come talk. But like I said, it's the fact that I went on Instagram today, that I went on my social media today, and a bunch of people reached out and kind of went, hey, how you doing? You okay? Was just kind of enough to take that edge off, enough to kind of go, okay, let's try to remember how to human again.
Yeah.
Ta-da, here I am.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. In a irony sense, I guess. And maybe it's not irony. I sometimes mess up when I call things irony. It's not actual irony, it's something else. But as you were saying those exact words, Rob chimed in on the screen. You okay? One of the most powerful and life-saving questions you'll ever ask. And he posted that at almost the exact time that you said that.
And sometimes that's all it is. Like, are you okay? Because I deal with depending on which side of the border you're on and depending on who you listen to, I deal with clinical/chronic depression. It's not going away. It's chemical imbalance. It's not something that I can go out for a nice walk in the woods and feel better. It's something I'm going to have to deal with for my life. It's something I take meds for. To involve me in the conversation where, hey, do you know the enzymes and do you know the chemical imbalances? Yeah, no, thanks. I'm good. Pass. But something as simple as, hey, how you doing? What's going on, man? Thanks. I won't say it, but I needed that. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of brothers who still have feet on this earth because somebody like Wayne, like Gator, like you, who reached out and went, hey, how's it going? At just the right time. Somebody like Rob, who's just kind of said, hey, man, what's going on? At just the right time. And I almost wonder if the brothers we've lost might still be here if they had got that, hey, what's going on? At just the right time.
Yeah. That's one of those things I think we're always going to wonder anytime we lose people. And it sucks that we have to go there in our minds, but I think that's part of what drives me, that makes me want to bring a professional in, because I can talk to all the brothers that I can and I want to, that, because it puts me in a unique position, because it's a topic that I want us to talk about. I want us to have that awkward conversation. But it's also a conversation that I can only do so much because I don't live it and because I haven't studied it like a professional therapist would. But I know that there are warning signs. I know that there are things that I can look out for. But that's one of the reasons why I want to bring somebody on to let us know. Let us know that, number one, what we are doing is okay. Make us feel better for the fact that we are doing what we can, but, oh, by the way, here's a handful of other things that we can do as well. And maybe it's things that we didn't think about.
And I'm going to agree with you. Like, there's only so much you can do, and I get that. But by you doing what you can do, and by Gator doing what he can do, and by One Feather doing what he can do, and Rob doing what he can do, all these little what you can do add up. And I mean, that's the thing. The more, like, Gator literally had tears in my eyes when he was talking about how people have to have the conversation. And he mentioned me, and I am, like, touched. But I don't see myself as brave for talking about anything that I go through. I see myself as necessary, because I am me and I know what I am, but I know I'm not alone. And I know there's other guys and girls who go through the same thing. And I know for years and years and years and years, I had no idea how to deal with it. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea how to compartmentalize it, what to do with it. And that's the thing. If one person looks at something I said and goes, "Oh wow, I'm not alone. Deal done. I'm good. Thanks. That's awesome. Do something." Like I said, I use the hashtag start the awkward conversation in every one of my posts now because I want that awkward conversation started. I want the people who are, and I'm not comfortable talking about this, but I'm not as uncomfortable as I was.
Right.
I'm trying to start the awkward conversation. And that is a hashtag that I would love to catch fire.
Yeah. You know, it's
because I would, that's a conversation I would love to catch fire.
Yeah. And I think there's a hidden thought there in what you said. That's important, I think, for us to think about is that anybody, and I think everybody, that does suffer from some sort of form of depression of any kind, they're all on a different path. Their story is not the same as everybody else's. And
we're potato chips.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is that your experiences and your journey and the level that you're at right now, where you are at in your life with it, is a lot different than somebody else's, and so on and so on. And so you have been where somebody else currently is.
Yep.
And you have been to the point where you can't talk about it, where somebody else is currently at. And so that's one of the things that I think you say you don't really think of yourself as inspirational in the words that you give, but at the same time, you absolutely are, because not everybody can talk about it. Not everybody can have the strength to talk about it.
Nope, but hopefully everybody can listen.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That's my hope. That the person who can't talk can listen and hear something and take something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, bro. I totally get it. I'm really glad you called, man. Yeah. So down the road here in the coming weeks, hopefully I'm able to find somebody that I can bring on and we can talk about it, because like I said, I feel at times defeated, because we talk about it a lot in some circles, and I mention it at the end of every podcast. It's a reminder, and we do what we can. We do what we can that we know we can, but there's so much more that we know that we don't know. And I think that those of us who have never been under that thumb, that have never felt that pressure of what depression can be, will just never understand. And I think people oftentimes are afraid to, as you say, start that awkward conversation, because they say, I'll never understand it. So how am I supposed to talk about it? And like I've said before, you don't have to talk about it. You just have to be there and listen.
Well, and that's the thing. From somebody who does understand it, I'm ecstatic that you never will. I'm happy that you'll never have to experience darkness. Well, I mean, we're all human. We all experience darkness, but I mean, clinical darkness, for lack of better words. Like that's the thing. As a depressive, I don't look at other people and go, I wish you knew what I felt.
Right.
As a depressive, I look at other people and go, I'm glad you don't feel what I feel. And like I said, you guys all push into positivity. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Don't even hesitate. Keep pushing. Because there's times where that's what gets me through my day. And I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm not going to speak for anybody else, But there's times that I see Gator's story come up and I'm like, oh man, God, I could use this today. Or, you'll pop up with some words of inspiration from your little magical book. And I'm like, yep, I need this today. So you've started the awkward conversation, but also without you even knowing, you guys are embracing, accepting, understanding, and helping. Thank you.
I appreciate it, bro. And I know Gator would say the exact same thing. Those of us who are outspoken, and I think yourself included, you just speak from the heart. And I think that's pretty much all we can do. And just listen.
I try my best.
I know you do, buddy. Thank you so much for calling in, man. It means a lot. And I think you really touched on something there. Whether you meant to or not.
Well, in all fairness, you started it.
Okay.
I was sitting there drinking my beer, minding my own business.
I'll take
it. You pulled me in.
I'll take it. All right, buddy. I appreciate you, man. Love you. Take care and have a great night, buddy.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, guys. So cool. So cool. This brotherhood that we have. It's funny. I've talked about it. I've not really talked much specifically on this show about anything that is related to religion or anything like that. But I think there are the vast majority of people out there, whatever you believe God to be or the higher power to be, most people out there seem to feel that there is something like that out there. And for the longest time, and this goes back, as I've said, to my days back when I was driving around a squad car, that for some reason I would drive left. I would turn left, not right, or I would go straight when I could have turned left or right. And didn't know why. There was no rhyme or reason to it, but I would end up being just where I needed to be when I needed to be there. And I think that happens in so many parts of our lives. And it can be something physical, or it can be something that's not so physical. That it can be, we just happen to hear something. We heard some words, and it kind of goes back to what Jay was just talking about there. We heard something, we heard a song, we heard some words at just the right time when we needed to hear it. We saw something come across TV, come across the internet. We, saw something in our lives that just happened to be at just the right time. And so often I look back on those kind of things, and that's, as I've said before here, I always refer to that as me playing a game of chess with God. And that we are all on our own chessboards. And he's just moving us around that chessboard where we need to be, when we need to be there at different times in our lives. And it can be us being there for ourselves. It can be us being there for others. We just never know. So I'm very grateful for Jay calling in with those words. So thanks so much. Also, could I have asked for a better conversation tonight, really, for us to go that way? I had no idea where this conversation was going to take us. I had no idea where this episode was going to take us. But it took us in a really good way. And I want to thank all of you guys for that. Both all of the guys that called in, but also the guys and ladies that have been talking in the online chat here as well. Rob came up with a great challenge for us in the coming weeks. He said he wanted to challenge everybody in the coming week to make an effort to ask, are you okay, to at least one different person each day. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great challenge, Rob. So everybody that's listening to this on a podcast platform, do that as well. Find somebody different each day. Reach out to them and ask them, you okay? You okay? Doesn't take much, buddy. Doesn't take much to do it. Really cool idea. Very cool. Very cool. All right, guys. Boy, I didn't know where this episode was going to take us, and I love it. I love it. We've flown along. We only had a few phone calls, but man, this is very cool stuff. I think one of the things that I might do in the coming weeks with this podcast is to open up a segment of each episode, perhaps, where people can call in online. And if they know that in advance, then they can prepare for it. And they can call in. They can do the due diligence beforehand to make sure that they have friended me online. And then they can much more easier call in. Much more easier? Much more easier is not a word. But anyway, you know what I mean. Much easier or more easily. That sounds better. More easily call in to this podcast platform. That would be very cool to see. Be very, very cool. If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer service to ensure your happiness. Whether you need beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to Pulpo Beard Oils, that's Pulpo beardoils.com, and use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order. All right, guys. Very cool. Thank you, guys. Those of you who have tuned in, come down the road here and come in to partway through the podcast live stream tonight. Thank you so much. Those of you who have done so, please go out and listen to the whole thing because this was a fun one. This was a fun episode. We did not know where this was going to take us. And Kelly, as she eloquently says here, this episode went where it was meant to go. 100% agree with that. Totally agree with that. That's what I love about this family here. I love about this family that's here at the Heart of a Villain. You guys back me up. You guys take things where they need to be, and your support means more than you know. And as I've said so many times before, this podcast is as much yours as it is mine. So thank you, and thank you. Okay, guys, we're going to roll into our calendar of events, which most of you have already heard about because they really haven't changed in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Sadly, I hate to say that. But, well, let's see what we got here. Today, this weekend, is the Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains 3rd anniversary. Hopefully anybody that's going is down there or preparing to go down there to enjoy the weekend. As I understand it, they are making preparations to be safe within this COVID pandemic situation. I understand at the beard competition, there's going to be lots of hand sanitizer and there's going to be masks available. So it has been made a private event as I understand it. So we don't have to worry about messing around with prying eyes of the general public creeping in and thinking we're doing bad things because we're meeting up. So congratulations to the Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains on their 3-year anniversary. And I hope everything goes flying swimmingly well down there. Have a great weekend with that. I look forward to talking to you guys next week about this weekend's adventures. Also, February 27th, coming up a little bit, Bearded Villains Southern Indiana has their Polar Plunge. You can reach out to the Bearded Villains Southern Indiana, any one of the guys or their chapter, They've got things set up, I believe, right now, so you can donate if you want to the cause. Or, you know what? Have some fun. Get wet. Get cold and get wet. Swing down there and take part in the polar plunge. Hit up the Bearded Villains, Southern Indiana, for all of the details. All righty, right. So, it's funny, guys. I mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk just for a second about my one word for 2021, and I mentioned it last time around during the episode when we talked about all this stuff. And as I mentioned before, my word for this year is move. And just in this last week, I have found myself trying to figure out what I can do with this word. I have, you always have great thoughts, great plans for things, but it's funny how you struggle with some things. Now, there have been times where I've been sitting on the couch and I say to myself, move. And I get up and I find some other project that I need to finish. There have been times where I look forward to doing something else. And this is just in this last week that, you say to yourself, move. And I've gone around doing some cleaning of some things at times when I could have just been sitting around. So I plan on using this move word for myself for 2021 in a variety of different ways, because I'm going to be telling myself move every day of every week of every month of this year. Most of you know that back in November, we chartered our new chapter here in Northern Indiana, Bearded Villains of Northern Indiana. And I'm excited because, as all things are, as the captain of the new chapter, there's a lot to do. And move has been a very inspirational word and phrase for me this week as well, because I've been working on bylaws. I've been working on setting up a bunch of things and organizing different plans for our future with our other officers. So move has definitely been pushing me this week. I hope that you guys are reminding yourselves of what your words are, even a week in. I don't want you guys to lose sight of those. I told you that I'd be checking in with you and finding out how your word is pushing you through. And I intend to do just that as the year goes on, as the month goes on. So I think, they always say it takes like 21 specific times to develop a habit, or I think there's another statistic. If it's a physical feature, it takes like 17,000 repetitions or something like that. So we need to make sure that we stick by. You jumped on board with this. It was a great idea. And it wasn't my idea, so I'm not praising myself there. But we all said, let's do this thing. So stay by it and keep pushing yourself. Don't forget your word and stay on top of it. Absolutely, guys. Well, guys, we're an hour in. We're almost an hour and 20 minutes in. Wow. That's going to wrap up episode 65 of The Heart of a Villain, guys. Remember, you can still buy shirts, patches, pins, all that good stuff. Poker chips at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. Heartofavillain.simplecast.com. You can also check out the other 64 episodes of the podcast there in podcast platforms. Remember, guys, I want to remind you and challenge you to be the villain that the world needs you to be. Be the villain that the world needs you to be, because as Jay has told us, and we remind ourselves all the time, the heart of a villain never stops beating. Finally, guys, as always, please remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So for now, have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy the week ahead. Please take care and stay safe.
Kick spit rhymes with the b-boy twitch, grabbing my junk and shit like it's 86. Shelly told 3 stripes we on. Hey, you know the B.I. It's BV Worldwide Fantas. Stay side across ponds, no borders. I am my brothers, keep your facial features covered, stay feeling
One
one.
brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. One